There's something deeply moving about animal friendships that shouldn't make sense. A cat and a parrot, unusual. A goat and a horse, adorable. But a giant Belgian shepherd and a tiny owl, that's a whole new level of heart melting. This story starts with Ingo, a big imposing shepherd bred from generations of police dogs. He had the brains, the build, and the discipline to take down criminals. Except for one tiny flaw. He wouldn't bite. No matter how hard his trainers tried, when it came time to strike, Ingo would just grab a suspect's sleeve and wait. That gentleness, his refusal to hurt, cost him his career in law enforcement. But that same trait, it ended up saving lives. After being released from the police program, Ingo was adopted by Tanya Brandt, a wildlife photographer who lived deep in the forest with her family. From the start, Ingo was everything Tanya needed, obedient, calm, and sharp as a tack. He'd hike alongside her while she snapped pictures of deer, squirrels, even birds, always respectful, never chasing or barking. One time, a squirrel helped itself to his food bowl. Ingo just watched. That's the kind of dog he was. Then came the owls. Tanya had been tracking a few nests nearby, documenting their progress from egg to fledgling. One day, she noticed Ingo acting off. While she aimed her camera at the treetop nest, Ingo paced below it, sniffing and whining. She tried to calm him, but he wouldn't settle. He had found something. Hidden in the underbrush was an owl egg, cold, alone, abandoned. Tanya had no way of returning it to the nest without risking the mother leaving the rest behind. So she took a chance. At home, the family rigged up a makeshift incubator using a glass box and light bulbs. It wasn't fancy. Honestly, they didn't think it would work, but Ingo did. He lay beside the incubator for hours, ears perked, watching. Then one night, he barked, not out of alarm, but excitement. The egg was hatching. Out came Pi, tiny, fragile, and impossibly cute. From the moment she opened her eyes, Pi seemed to imprint on Ingo. He was her protector, her parent. She'd perch on his back, nest in his fur, and later, chase him around the house. When she finally learned to fly, she flew straight to him. Tanya captured their bond in breathtaking photos, but no lens could truly capture what they had. Eventually, Pi was ready. She had learned to hunt, even once proudly returning home with a mouse she ate while sitting on Ingo's back. Tanya knew it was time to let her go, so they drove deep into the forest and released her into the wild. The ride home was quiet. Ingo stared out the window, his head heavy on the seat. Tanya's heart ached too, but it was the right thing. Pi deserved freedom, except Pi had other plans. When they pulled into the driveway, an owl swooped down from the trees, straight onto Ingo. She had followed them, beat them home. They laughed, cried, and built owl boxes around the property. Pi claimed one, but never strayed far. She was free, but home was with Ingo. Every morning, she'd be waiting at the door, ready to cuddle or play. They were inseparable. Then one day, she vanished. For days, she didn't return. Tanya grew worried. Ingo grew frantic. He wouldn't eat. Then, one afternoon, he bolted into the woods and let out a haunting howl. By the time the family reached him, Ingo was already running back, with something in his mouth. Feathers. The world stopped. He laid Pi gently at their feet. She wasn't moving. Was this it? Had his instincts finally kicked in? Had he? But then, Ingo leaned down and licked her. Pi stirred. She was alive. Her wing was broken. She was sick and barely responsive. But there were no signs of trauma, no bite marks, no wounds. Ingo had saved her, just like before. They took her inside, wrapped her wing, gave her medicine, and waited. Ingo stayed glued to her side, pressing his head to her cage. Pi leaned back, resting against him from the inside. And finally, one morning, she made that familiar chirp, her little "I'm hungry" squeak. Hope. Slowly, Pi healed. She regained strength, tested her wings indoors, and eventually flew again. When they released her this time, she didn't go far. In fact, she barely left their yard. Her bond with Ingo had only grown stronger. Then one spring morning, Tanya noticed something strange in Pi's owl box. Eggs. Pi, the little abandoned egg who beat the odds, was starting a family of her own. It felt full circle. When her owlets began to fly, the very first place Pi brought them was home. Tanya stepped outside one morning to find Ingo completely covered in baby owls, snuggling, peeping, climbing all over him like he was a giant fluffy playground. The family added more owl boxes. The owlets nested. Some grew up and moved on. But none bonded quite like Pi did. Even when Pi passed, old, loved, and free, that love didn't fade. Ingo didn't stop caring. One of Pi's granddaughters, a tiny owl named Bleach, had been pushed out of the nest. She was weak, couldn't fly, and wouldn't have survived on her own. Tanya and Ingo took her in. They built a special low box just for her. Bleach never left. She even found a mate and laid eggs of her own. Most never hatched, except one, a single survivor. That baby grew strong and flew off into the wild. And just like that, Pi's legacy lived on, because of one gentle dog. Ingo didn't ask for a second chance. He didn't know his police training would be his undoing. But what the world saw as failure turned out to be fate. He wasn't meant to chase suspects. He was meant to raise owls. And he did. Through Pi, through Bleach, through a line of birds who now called the forest home, and who always found their way back to the one creature who had loved them from the very beginning. So, next time someone tells you a dog and an owl can't be family, just remember Ingo and Pi. Some bonds aren't logical. They're just right. If this story touched your heart, give it a like, share it with someone who loves animals, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about incredible bonds, second chances, and the unexpected ways love shows up.